right, welcome to Saturday Night Protection Live. Okay, it's almost live. Yeah, this is a pre-recorded show, so you will not get to see my comments in the chat, but I hope you do stay because what we're going to bring you tonight is going to blow your mind, and it is very dangerous, and parents need to be aware. Yes, your kids' photos are being turned into CP. You know what that is, using AI. Oh, yes, we knew it was coming, and it is here. And there was a teacher, yes, a teacher, arrested for doing just this. Allegedly doing this. And he was turning regular kids' photos using AI, different programs that are out there. We're going to actually show you one in a little bit. And turning the regular kids' photos into sexual. We'll just say that, okay? Unbelievable. So, but again, this is pre-recorded. I have another engagement for Saturday night at this time. So, unfortunately, I won't be in the chat, but I encourage you guys to continue to chat, talk away, and continue to share information. Passionate protectors out there, we got to come together because these PDF files, they're growing leaps and bounds, and they're using this technology to their advantage. And we are talking about regular photos like you see on your screen, just regular photos, parents putting their kids' photos out there. The little girl wearing the new spring dress, or the little girl in her new two-piece bathing suit. Oh, yeah, those pictures are out there. The boy with his bathing suit on, just his shorts because it's a bathing suit, right? Well, now there's these AI programs that can remove the clothes off of your child's photos. And they use that in an AI program and make it look like other things are taking place. See, I'm being very careful because, the algorithm is on YouTube. It's like they'll shut you down for one little thing. So, but yeah, this is absolutely crazy, but it is happening. And we're going to learn about that tonight because that is what we do at protectyourchildren.org. We try to bring you education and awareness as it comes about so that you are informed and you can protect your children. That's the idea. And speaking of protect your children, that is the name of our website, protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org. And what I'd like to do is ask you to go to that website. All right, go to the website and download this right here. This is the in-depth protection packet. Now, we just finished a 5-part series. Yes, 5 parts over 5 weeks. Unbelievable. It was actually that long. It went very fast. We did a 5-part series on how to protect your kids from predators online and in the community. And if you missed any of those, you can find them on our podcast page on our website and also on our YouTube channel, Rumble channel. You can find the links to it on Facebook and X. So please definitely check that out. But this download button right here, right here, you click onto that and you scroll down and listen, English and Espanol, okay? English and Espanol. Download this right here and you will open up the packet of guidelines and go over it with your kids. Please educate your children. They need to know the warnings, the tricks, the traps, the threats. If they don't know, then they can't be protected. And parents, you need to know as well. So please go to our website, protectyourchildren.org, and click on the free guidelines and get educated and get aware and help your kids to be aware as well. All right, I want to jump right into our hero segment tonight. You're going to notice that this hero segment is old. It's from 2018, but it was so good. And we played this before, probably like a year and a half ago. But I wanted to bring it to you again because this embodies just how great kids are, right? When they're raised right and they're protected from PDF files and the drugs and the alcohol and all that crap that can ruin their life, when they're protected and nurtured and taken care of, they can do amazing things, okay? And this young girl, Sophia, she's like a junior Marine, okay? And wait till you see what she does. You talk about making an impact, making a difference. And we bring you this every week because we want to remind people of how awesome kids are. And We want them to be protected so they can pursue the dreams and the great things that they were created to do. So let's check this out. We'll be right back in about a minute 40.
Recognition. And 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie live downtown where the city is honoring a 14-year-old girl who saved dozens of people from an apartment fire. And Mary, I understand she's very articulate.
She's incredible, Jason. She's the kid you want yours to become one day. Sophia Wrighthouse says that November 4th was an ordinary day for her and her parents. But because of her actions that day, January 23rd has been named for her.
Hereby proclaim January 23rd, 2018 to be Sophia M. Wrighthouse Day in the city of San Diego. Congratulations.
A special proclamation for Sophia Wrighthouse because of her extraordinary actions on an ordinary day. Sophia and her parents drove up to an intense Rancho Penasquitos apartment fire last November. Sophia, a member of the Young Marines, who holds the rank of Master Sergeant, by the way, recently completed FEMA disaster training. She helped evacuate 8 apartments, waking people up and calmly getting them to safety.
Incredible.
I don't feel like a hero. I just feel like a normal citizen that was doing the right thing at the right moment.
She was even able to brief firefighters at the scene. Her parents, who are both police officers, say that her heroism wasn't surprising at all. And there were comments made this afternoon about her name potentially being on a ballot for president in 2040. We're live downtown. Mary McKenzie, 10 News.
Wow. That's incredible. See, that's what we're talking about, okay? And it seemed like there might have been a little delay there, so sorry about that. But it's funny when you use an in-house recording studio setup, it records differently. So if there's a little bit of lag there, we apologize for that. But how awesome is she, right? You talk about brave, smart, courageous, and of course, she doesn't feel like a hero. She said she would do, hopefully, what anybody would do if they found themselves in that place at that time. And we just applaud her because that's what kids are about. They are awesome. They do great things. And we have to protect them from these PDF files and other freaks out there that are trying to harm our children. I mean, it's oh my God, it's crazy, but it is happening. It is happening. All right, let's get on to, how about this story? We're going to bring you this wild story, right? This is so encouraging, okay? Now, most of you know that we've been investigating the missing child case of Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt out of Clearwater, Florida, right in our backyard. And he went missing on September 11th of 2000. You say, man, that's almost 25 years ago. Oh, it's not going to be looking too good for him. Well, we have brought you case after case, okay, including the girls in Ohio. Remember that from years back? And now we're going to bring you this case of a toddler who went missing and has been found 25 years later.
Child's abduction case out of New Haven that happened 25 years ago. It finally came to a close last week after the toddler, now an adult woman, was found in Mexico.
Today, her father and stepmom spoke to the media for the first time. NBC Connecticut's Jennifer Cuevas is in New Haven with the new developments on the decades-long search.
As you can imagine, today was an extremely emotional day for the family. They say they are thankful for the FBI and the New Haven Police Department and are now looking forward to reconnecting with their daughter, Andrea Reyes.
After 25 years, God has answered our prayers and blessed us with a chance to know her again.
We have some sense of happiness, but the chapter is not closed yet.
An abduction case from 1999 has officially come to a close. Last week, the New Haven Police Department announced Andrea Reyes had been located in Mexico and virtually reunited with her father 25 years after she was taken by her biological mother. Reyes was just under 2 years old at the time. Investigators say the FBI investigated the case for 18 years, but it wasn't until 2023 when New Haven Police Detective Keelan Nevikoff reopened the case that it was able to advance.
Using a combination of interviews, search warrants, social media, Detective Nevikoff determined that Andrea, now 25 years old, had been taken by Rosa to Mexico and was still residing there.
Another key factor in solving this case was a partnership with Othram, a company specializing in DNA testing.
Today's case was, nice to see a good result, and that's what we're chasing in all cases. It's incredibly empowering to see the end result, but there's more work to do.
While we have good news, we do not lose sight of those families still waiting for their loved ones to be found.
Police say there is a felony arrest warrant for Reyes' biological mother. However, it can only be enforced in the United States. Reyes, who is now 27, still lives in Mexico. In New Haven, Jennifer Cuevas, NBC, Connecticut News.
Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt. This cutie on the left, precious boy. Age progression on the right. All right. Age progression on the right. And the reality is that we have leads that actually take us to Mexico. No joke. No joke. And we talked about this a little bit last week. The only thing that's holding us up right now is finances, because we have to travel down there and passports and all this. It costs a lot of money to go do what we need to do. We have a pretty solid idea of where we believe Zachary Bernhardt is. Information has been communicated to the Clearwater Police Department and the FBI as well. Doesn't appear that they're following up on that. They did a little news segment about a year ago about the pictures of this Mexico man, as they call him, who looks strikingly like the age progression photos of Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt. And there's an area of Mexico right across the border, and where it's been known that if you are a fugitive or you are a missing person or someone who does not want to be found, that is, you can basically stay in these areas. You're considered a gringo, right? Gringo, but you can stay in these areas of Mexico, and the locals accept you, and the police kind of turn a blind eye. And as long as you don't cause any trouble, you can stay there for decades, and we happen to believe that that's where Zachary Bernhardt is. Now, we have to get down there to verify this, but based upon the information we've received from that area and the photos that we've received, we think he's probably down in that area. So in any case, we're not going to give up. We encourage you to go to our website, protectyourchildren.org. You can see it up there, /Zachary Bernhardt missing. There's a link there. And you can look at all the pictures, the videos, the age progressions, all the videos that we've done. We got a summary video that we did, I want to say probably about a year ago. And it covers all the information, almost all the information that we've found so far, and what we've put together, what our theories are, what the top theories are. And I mean, look at this precious boy. Can you believe this? 8 years old, and he's uprooted from his life. And God knows what has happened to him. God knows what has happened to Zachary Bernhardt. But listen, it says he went missing under suspicious circumstances. Yeah, you're not joking, right? And he has the longest running Amber Alert in the state of Florida. And the police say the case is still open. Now, they're not doing anything preemptively to look for him. And they say if a tip comes in, they'll follow it, of course. But they're not, there's no room of detectives that are working on cases that are this old, unfortunately. So Zachary has been forgotten about by the public, not by his family, of course, or his friends, but by the public. And we believe by law enforcement as well. But we will never give up. We're going to continue to look for him. And if you can help us out to do that, please get in touch with us. You can visit our website, protectyourchildren.org. You can donate. You can specifically put a donation for the search of Zachary Bernhardt if that's what you want it to be used for. But if you have any questions on that, you can go to our website and send us a message. So, all right, let's jump into this crazy stuff. This is where we start talking about what's happening, okay? Charlotte, I hope I can say this word, pornography case shows the unsettling reach of AI-generated imagery. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger. Let me see here. There we go. Hopefully y'all can read that. All right. So look at this. When 41-year-old psychiatrist David Tatum was sentenced on child pornography charges in November, his multiple victims stood up in court and they read statements describing how they felt victimized by his actions, taking decades-old childhood photographs and converting them into pornographic images. It's a very strange and unsettling realization that as an adult woman in her 40s, I became a victim of child pornography, one woman said in her victim impact statement at the North Carolina doctor's November 8th, 2023 sentencing. So Tatum was found guilty last May of producing, transporting, and possessing images and videos of child pornography, including secret recordings he made of minor girls undressing and showering between July 2016 and 2021. Now, here's where it's interesting. He was also found to have used generative artificial intelligence, AI, to digitally alter clothed images of minors into child pornography. Generative AI lets users easily create new content based on inputs like existing images and detailed descriptions. In Tatum's case, inputs included old photographs of classmates and others who were under 18 when the pictures were taken. That's pretty scary. And what can happen is all of these a gazillion photos that are out there that parents are posting on every social media out there, these PDF files can snag those photos. It's not hard. They can download them. They can screenshot them. They get their hands on them. All right. And then they take those photos and they digitally alter them to remove the clothes, keeping the face, of course. It's sick. It's just absolutely sickening to even think about what they're doing with these photos of your children. But it's definitely happening. FBI Charlotte Special Agents Scott Atwood and Marissa Brown, who led the investigation into Tatum, said the AI-generated images were extremely realistic. They said a priority in their case was determining how and where the images were produced and if they were generated using a real person. Most likely they were. If so, that's a real live victim that we need to be considering, Atwood said, and it turned out there were multiple victims. And the article goes on. This is from the FBI, FBI.gov. All right, so this is actually really happening, parents, okay? And are we saying to get the, pictures of your kids off of social media? Yes. Do we think that's ever going to happen? No. But we hope that somebody will take the warning and not take the chance anymore. We're hoping that's going to be the outcome. And I'll tell you, one of the programs, all right, is called Undress AI. Yeah. Yes, people have actually made these programs. What kind of a sick pervert do you got to be to even make a program like this? Okay. This is from internetmatters.org. Internetmatters.org. What is Undress AI? I'm going to go ahead and zoom this in. You guys can see a little bit better. What is Undress AI? Guidance for parents and carers. Okay. Unbelievable. Artificial intelligence continues to increase in ability and technology. Undress AI is one example that could leave young people open to harm. Learn what it is so you can better protect your child online. So Undress AI is a genre of apps that use artificial intelligence to alter images or videos. The risks include seeing inappropriate content, bullying, abuse, and impacts on mental health. Research from Graphica showed a 2,000% increase in spam referral links to deep nude websites. It's now illegal to generate and distribute intimate deep fakes. Preventative conversations about Undress AI can keep children from getting involved. And you can find more resources to support children's online safety. So Undress AI describes a type of tool that uses artificial intelligence to remove clothes of individuals in images. While how each app or website works might vary, all of them offer this similar service. Although the manipulated image isn't actually showing the victim's real nude body, it can imply this. Perpetrators who use Undress AI tools might keep the images for themselves or might share them more widely. They could use the images for sexual coercion, which is also known as sextortion. We've talked about that. Bullying, abuse, or as a form of revenge porn. Children and young people face additional harm if someone undresses them using this technology. A report from the Internet Watch Foundation found over 11,000 potentially criminal AI-generated images of children on one dark web forum dedicated to child sexual abuse material. They assessed around 3,000 images as criminal. The darkness and the depravity of people continues to shock me to this day. Like, I don't know why I'm even surprised considering all the stuff we've had to cover on this show, but this is sick. This is like a whole new world. The IWF, the Internet Watch Foundation, said that it also found many examples of AI-generated images featuring known victims and famous children. Generative AI can only create convincing images if it learns from accurate source material. Essentially, AI tools that generate CSAM, child sexual abuse material, would need to learn from real images featuring child abuse. Wow. And they have the internets out there and the Googles where they can bring up millions of people's children's photos. This is crazy. Undress AI tools use suggestive language to draw users in. As such, children are more likely to follow their curiosity based on this language. Of course, they're going to target the kids. I mean, come on. What kind of sick pervert would they be if they didn't? Children and young people might not yet understand the law. As such, they might struggle to separate harmful tools from those which promote harmless fun. What is harmless fun? And when you're using something like Undress AI, okay, what do you think kids are going to do with it? I mean, come on, man. The curiosity and novelty of an Undress AI tool could expose children to inappropriate content because it's not showing a real, quote unquote, real nude image. They might think that it's okay to use these tools. If they then share the image with their friends for a laugh, they are breaking the law, likely without knowing. You know what this reminds me of? You know, when I was a kid, wasn't it Superman who had X-ray glasses where he could see through things, you know? And I remember being a kid going, man, if I had X-ray glasses, man, you know, because you know what you do when you're a kid. Come on, guys. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're a kid and you're like, man, if I had X-ray specs right now, I could see what she looks like, right? And it's like you joked around about it. You knew it would never happen and you moved on and you went to ride bikes and go do your thing. Well, now it's like the technology has made it so that sick people can actually remove the clothes off of a freaking child. Just let that sink in for a second. Man, it's unbelievable, but that's exactly what's happening. And that's exactly what this freaking teacher right here did. And we're going to look at this. This is from Law and Crime Sidebar with Jesse Weber. We continue to be thankful that they let us use the content. We've never got a copyright strike. Of course, we leave their name all over it, too. It's not like we're taking credit for the content. But wait till you hear this story of what this teacher, this is some sick crap. And this is at a middle school. Okay? It's a middle school. All right? And that's what this guy was doing with the pictures, using AI to alter them into sexual photos. And of course, now he's arrested and charged. Thank goodness. And he's innocent until proven guilty, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So let's check this out. I'll be interrupting for commentary, but let's watch this together.
All straight out of a horror dystopian thriller. A trusted teacher celebrated for his innovative work in cybersecurity is now accused of using AI, artificial intelligence, to create fake sexual videos of students. This isn't science fiction. This is allegedly happening right now in Corinth, Mississippi. How did this happen? What does it mean for the future of crime and technology? And how do we stop it? Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. We're now going to touch upon something that I have been concerned about for a while, the interplay between AI and crime. And in the small town of Corinth, Mississippi, this has taken on a different level. I mean, this, what I'm about to get into, kind of sounds like a dystopian thriller, although it's disgusting and also horrible and horrifying at the same time. But you have Wilson Frederick Jones, a 30-year-old former teacher at Corinth Middle School, And he has been arrested and charged with using artificial intelligence, AI, to create fake pornographic videos of students. Yeah, this is now a real thing. This is happening. Yes, these are allegations, but the interplay between AI and crime is happening. So all of this apparently began in November of last year when, according to reporting from Action News 5, Corinth School District administrators received an alert about illicit content on Jones' school-issued computer. You see, the district used a software to scan its devices for any kind of inappropriate material, and the system flagged something alarming. Now, the arrest has left the Corinth community stunned. I'll also tell you, I think it's left anybody who's read this story pretty stunned. Now,
I got to jump in here and say, you know what's weird? You notice the name of the town? Corinth? Remind anybody of anything? Like in the Bible? 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians? There was a lot of really sexually inappropriate stuff going on in Corinth, okay, as it's pronounced in the Bible. Corinth, okay? You know, we've all heard the word about the fine Corinthian leather, right? How strange. I'm just saying that this kind of crap is going on in Corinth, okay, down there in good old Mississippi. And yeah, I don't know, I just thought that was kind of strange, but let's get back to it.
Read this story, pretty stunned. Now, parents of the affected students, they were immediately notified. The school district has been cooperating fully with law enforcement. The district said in an official statement, quote, "The Corinth School District internet filtering system alerted district administration of inappropriate activity on a teacher computer.
Nice.
The district investigated the complaint, took action, and reported the matter as required to the Mississippi Department of Education Office of Educator Misconduct. Since this relates to the employment of a former school district employee and is subject to a current law enforcement investigation, the district cannot offer any additional comment at this time. The district has cooperated and will continue to cooperate with any law enforcement request for assistance." So, according to an FBI affidavit, the content in question, what we're talking about, I want you to brace yourself for this, was allegedly videos depicting students engaged in sexually explicit acts or content that was all AI generated. And the ages of these children featured in the videos range from 14 to 16, and their images were allegedly sourced from social media. Now, according to an affidavit reviewed by WLBT, when confronted, Jones allegedly admitted to using AI to generate videos, but claimed the content wasn't sexual. Now, despite his denial, the school district launched an internal investigation. He resigned on November 21st. This was just 2 days after the initial alert. And before I go any further into this, I got to bring on special guest to help me break all this down. Mike King, retired police commander and host of Profiling Evil. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. I have to imagine that in your career, when you heard AI, you had to imagine it was only a matter of time before this was going to enter into the criminal space and being used by either potential perpetrators or alleged perpetrators or convicted convicts of committing crimes, right?
Boy, you're not a kidding, Jesse. And thanks for letting me join you today on this one, because it is really troubling what the future could hold if there aren't some really tough laws put into place and acted upon. And I think we're seeing that happen in this particular case. But who would have ever thunk that we would have been in a position like this where someone could take a photograph from the web or a photograph from anywhere, frankly, and turn it into an animated video that looks real? And we've seen some of this with some of the political figures recently during the election process where we saw that happening. But now imagine the disgusting nature of doing that with sexual content and involving children.
And unfortunately, it's going to get better and better in the sense that it's going to get so real you won't be able to tell the difference. And I'm concerned, will there be software to actually detect what's going to happen? Separate issue. But I guess, how do you police this, right? In the sense, if you're talking about sex crimes, you can have victims who've come forward, say what happened to them. There's proof that photos were taken, text messages were exchanged. But if you are creating original content for material that's already in the public space, if it wasn't for this, Bark app that the school used, is there any way to be able to detect this?
By the way, that should be standard operating procedure, okay? For schools to have a filtering system like that is absolutely needed. We speak with lots of kids, lots of families, And we can tell you that the stories we've heard of kids using the school's computers to go just to YouTube, which is not blocked, and they're finding adult content on YouTube. Okay. And that tells me that either their filtering system doesn't work for crap or they don't even have one. But how can a child be in a classroom on one of the computers, and when the teacher's not looking, they're like pulling up stuff on the computer to show their friends? But we've heard this from countless kids that this is actually happening. So kudos to the school district for having Bark on there. Bark is a great parental control monitoring app. So is Guardian. So is AirDroid. Most of these are like $10 a month. They're not expensive. And they can monitor what your kids are doing on their phones and on their game systems, on their laptops. And you can be alerted to certain keywords if your kids are using it in conversations with people. You can basically be notified of anything that you choose. Okay. And they're great to have because these predators are very slick. You've got adults that are acting like kids. They've got kids' profiles. They're tricking kids all the time into thinking that they're talking to someone that's their age when they're really not. Okay. And before you know it, they're going out to meet somebody. They think they're going to the park to go hang with their new friend, that they met online that they think is 13, and it turns out the person's 40. Okay, imagine that. And this has happened. We've heard story after story about it. So kudos to the school for having Bark on their system that alerted them to this.
Police it?
No, not that I'm aware of at this point, Jesse. And it kind of gets into that idea of, do you try to guess or second guess what people are going to do, have a minority report, so to speak, which we don't want to get to that point. So we have to be able to come up with some front end legislation that prevents that demands that anything that's generated has certain tagging in it, whether it's in the metadata or in the actual imagery that we're seeing, that says this is phony. This is not real. And I think there has to be just some incredibly heavy duty sanctions placed on people that take somebody else's identity and create something like this.
What motivates somebody to do this? If he really did do this,
sick, evil perversion,
to create AI generated explicit content involving his students, what would motivate somebody to do something like this?
So you're hitting on the thing that really troubles me as someone who spent a career looking at criminal behavior. And, we have those traditional forms of evidence that you and I talk about on your show all the time. But this idea that behavioral evidence really teaches us and kind of nets it and brings it all together. I have to start thinking immediately about what's the motivation behind it. Is this a predatory fantasy that is starting to evolve and pretty soon not be enough? And so it has to be acted out in reality with children. And so I want to know more about what is he got in his other digital library? What kinds of things is he focusing on? Because it's really that fantasy where the crime begins, isn't it? And it takes us to that juncture that we talk about so often about the difference between deviant behavior, those goofy thoughts that people have and allegedly in this situation have, and the step over the bridge into criminal behavior.
Do you think his background as a teacher plays a role in his ability to allegedly manipulate and exploit his students' images? I mean, that idea, that role.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know this, that PDF files put themselves in positions of power, in positions of authority, in positions of trust. So they're least suspected, and because kids will automatically trust them. I mean, that's the idea. Like kids, hopefully they don't know a lot better now, but kids would always think you can always trust your teacher, right? We've always been told, right? When we were kids too, if there's any problem, something happens, you go tell your teacher. Like kids think that they should automatically be able to trust their teachers, right? And that keeps them off guard. They let their guard down because they feel like they're safe. And this guy, allegedly doing what he did, he's got himself in a position as a school teacher. And you're going to see here, he's got awards and everything. He was so great. Remember like some months back, there was that teacher of the year, the female teacher of the year. I mean, she was like recognized by everybody. And she got arrested for allegedly, doing some things with a student. And she was like teacher of the year. And it's crazy because these people can make themselves so great at what they do because it keeps them in the position that they need so that they can go after victims. That's exactly what happens. You know, you see this with addicts a lot. You know, there are what they call working alcoholics or working drug addicts. These people can drink and they can do drugs and they can continue to do their jobs so well. And you say, how can they do that? Because they know that that job gives them the money that they need to feed their addiction. And these PDF files are no different. They can get really, really good at what they do so that they can stay in those positions longer, gain more trust, gain more authority, and thus gain more access to potential victims. That's what they do.
Is unfortunately something we've talked a lot about here on Sidebar in recent cases.
You know, my wife is a retired educator, and one thing that she didn't do during her course of educating is that she never got involved in getting on the students' Facebook pages or their Instagram pages or other things. She kept that professional line very clear between the teacher and the student.
Now, that's something else that could be done. All right. Now, I know there's no more Department of Education, apparently, but on the state level and the district level, they need to make a ironclad rule that under no circumstances should any teacher be communicating with a child outside of the school system software that they use. That means you're not friends with any of your students on social media. You're not sending messages back and forth in the privacy of Instagram or Snapchat or any of these other ones that these predator teachers are using. I mean, that should just be a standard thing, right? And why isn't it? Why is it allowed for teachers to communicate with these kids outside of the classroom on private social media accounts? It should never be allowed. Now, if you ask me, I remember being in school, right? And what was the best thing ever, right? The best thing ever was the last day of school, man. It was summer and we weren't going to have to hear from any teachers and no homework and no pencils, no more books, no more teachers, dirty looks. Woo, right? The last thing we wanted to do was communicate with a teacher. We wanted to get away from them and not have to see them again until the next year. But now, no. No, let me get your Facebook. Let me get your Snapchat. Let me get your Instagram. And they continue to talk even after school's out. And they develop these personal relationships with these students that go outside the school. Parents, you got to be checking your kids' phones and their social media. If they're following their teachers and the teachers are following your children, and there's messages going back for like red flags right there, just sirens blaring. Shouldn't be happening.
And that worries me when I see those kinds of things happening because it opens the doors for access. But getting access to social media imagery is so darn simple nowadays that someone has really no expectation of privacy when they go into these areas. And I guess that's what puts some responsibility on us as guardians, on the parents of children, to come up with things that continue to remind them of the pitfalls that are associated with this dangerous world. And they probably understand the technology better than any of us understand.
Oh, the kids know what they're doing.
Do they have the wisdom to operate
within
that technology world?
What does this investigation look like? The one now that's happening in Corinth, where you have this AI potentially being used. What does an investigation by law enforcement look like?
So we can theorize that when law enforcement became aware of it, they then used that to draft up a subpoena and get a search warrant of that physical computer. And also, I assume they've gone in and gotten his other personal digital footprint. So they're able to go in and start looking at that to determine how did he in fact satisfy the elements of that crime? What did he do to manufacture that video or that series of 3 videos, I think it was? How did he first gain that imagery? Was it given through, here's my photo, or was he going in and scraping it off of the web and one of the sites that the children were visiting and putting their pictures on? Then how does he manufacture it? Then how does he store it? And that creates multiple problems for him. One that led to his termination at the school for a violation there. And now potentially, if he's found guilty, the violation of actually producing the document, storing the document, using the web or other means to transfer that document, and then what happens downstream with it if they're able to prove what the end purpose of that was. Is he going to distribute that and further exploit the child? And so hopefully, and I think we're fortunate in this particular case that the police department was smart enough to say, hey, this is a DOJ issue, not a local policing issue, because they're going to move a whole lot quicker. We're going to see some pretty swift action, and that's going to require some pretty heavy duty research, a lot of investigation, a ton of subpoenas, and then they're going to be able to put on a case, I think, that will be pretty compelling.
Because now he's facing federal charges, and we're going to talk about that. By the way, something I wanted to ask you about is the timeline here. So some months go by as there's this internal investigation. It progresses by the school. And then we get to January, where according to Fox 13, someone apparently filed a complaint against Jones with the Mississippi Department of Education's Office of Educator Misconduct, accusing him of violating the state's Educator Code of Ethics. And then it appears from there, the complaint that led to further investigation. But then you go to February. So remember, all this happened in November. Now you go to February. The Mississippi Department of Education forwarded the case to the Corinth Police Department. And according to local paper Dark Horse Press, Corinth Police Detective Captain Heather Russell received an email from the Mississippi Department of Education Misconduct Office regarding the complaint. And Corinth Chief of Police Landon Tucker then met with the school district superintendent, Edward Childress, to discuss the allegations. And apparently that same day, a subpoena was requested to seize evidence from Jones' home. And on March 3rd, the police and the FBI served the subpoena, retrieved a laptop, a thumb drive, a case file compiled by the school district during its internal investigation. And the evidence is what we seem to be, which arguably seems to be quite damning.
4 months?
Now, authorities apparently discovered multiple AI-generated videos depicting students in sexually exploitive situations. Corinth Police Chief Landon Tucker emphasized, quote, these images were AI-generated. At no time did these victims willingly produce any images or know that their pictures were being manipulated in such a way.
Man, that is scary. That is downright frightening. You know, that statement right there. These victims had no idea that their pictures were being used like that. I mean, I'm just thinking about this for a second. And you go to Google and there's a gazillion pictures of people's kids out there. And you got these predators, these PDF files out there that can take any of those photos at any time and use a program like Undress AI and create these photos. Like, what is going to stop this right now? I mean, it's scary. I mean, there's no way to scrub every child's photo off of the internet now. We're clearly behind the technology on this. This is some sobering stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
And yesterday, federal authorities arrested Jones. He's been charged with production of a morphed image of child pornography and possession of a morphed image of child pornography. So federal charges, which, by the way, is interesting because it's about altering images of children to make it appear that they are engaging in sexual activity. And if you read about this, there's actually a question at one point in the courts whether or not this was protected speech under the First Amendment. Courts have generally said no, this is not protected speech, although I don't believe the issue actually made it all the way up to the Supreme Court. So we'll see if anything like that makes its way. But during his initial hearing in federal court, a magistrate judge ordered Jones to be held without bail until a detention hearing, which is scheduled, we believe, for tomorrow. Mike, my first question is the timeline. If this happened in November, that the school district got word that there was inappropriate content on his school device, why did it take so long for police to get involved? Why did it take so long for the FBI to get involved? I mean, shouldn't they have been contacted immediately?
We'll wait for an answer.
You know, Jesse, I think like you and probably all of your viewers, this is really troubling that this 4 months roughly period of time passes between the discovery and the actual charging, that because it sounds like from a month, February through March, That's when the real police work was done to build this case and make an arrest on this thing. And so what I find so darn troubling in this particular instance is the fact that, yes, number one, that they approach him. He reportedly, by all news reports, admits to generating the imagery, says, hey, it wasn't sexual. Well, you can call, the stripes on a tiger a lot of things, I guess, but they're still stripes. And then they terminate him from his employment, and then things go quiet. Now, I don't know at which point the family was actually notified of each of these children. I suspect that once they knew, that's what led to maybe the allegations or the charges back to the school board to say, do something. But it just seems really egregious to me that much time would pass, regardless of whether the school board is trying to do a little damage control, maybe hoping it would go away, or maybe they're just trying to figure out how and when to be transparent about it. But the timing seems really bad when you think about the fact that a social worker that hears about sexual abuse, a school teacher that hears about sexual abuse, isn't given a window of time to report like that. They're told to go immediately.
That's right.
And report that kind of abuse to local authorities, who then get in and make the determination and try to ensure that child's safe. And so that's really troubling to me. Once it lands on the chief's desk, it sounds to me like, and it appears like, this thing picks up steam and moves quickly to the feds, who quickly then put together an affidavit and apply charges.
Do you anticipate, what do you anticipate could be the potential struggles for law enforcement, or the obstacles for law enforcement to police this kind of conduct, to find out about this kind of conduct, to make sure things like this don't happen in the future? Because one of the things I was thinking about, and I don't know this for sure, is the time that he hadn't been arrested, how easy it is to generate more content using AI programs. I'm not entirely sure.
He had 4 months to do it.
But, you tell me what might be some of the obstacles for law enforcement, maybe even schools, able to police this kind of conduct.
The things that really trouble me in this particular one, Jesse, around the evidence, number one is the amount of time that passes, and can they truly put together a bulletproof case of a chain of custody on that evidence from the time the school board takes a control of that laptop. And they say that they lock it down and that they take control of it, but that's not the same as it sitting in an evidence locker in a Department of Justice forensic lab being analyzed. There is a month or two where that thing is sitting with really an evidence chain of custody issue, in my opinion. So that's the first thing I worried about immediately after this is can they prove that it really was his, and that it was his through the entire thing? I suspect that they can. But then it's them putting together the case in a way that makes sense to a jury. And keep in mind, most of the juries aren't going to have the sophistication of what technology can do in the area of AI. Most technologists are trying to figure out what the technology of AI is really capable of. So to convince a jury that there is somehow some really culpable kinds of moves along the way to satisfy the elements of this particular statute might be challenging. Although I think just the mere possession of those things, that jump drive, if he did in fact take that jump drive and copy it and take it home, or made that keystroke when he said, save this on my school computer, those things are going to be pretty darn compelling.
Well, his alleged admission about using AI that didn't create anything sexual in nature, again, I'm curious the way that might work, because there's a difference between classic examples of photographing a minor or engaging in sexual contact with a minor, or images or videos where it's clear what it is. But if it's AI generated, is there a way to deny this? Is there a way to say it's not what it purports to be?
I hope not.
Well, I think that's going to be the emotion of the jury, isn't it? I mean, if you put that in front of the jury and they feel like, holy cow, these children are doing things sexual in nature, then any other argument's going to be pretty difficult to get over. And if they can supplant that with other kinds of things that support what he fantasizes about or what he was attracted to, is he downloading child pornography in other locations? Those are going to be the things that really knit this thing together. And it may end up being somewhat circumstantial in nature that really ties this case together, not just these pieces of physical or forensic evidence.
Now, here's what we know about this former teacher. So according to what we uncovered online, Wilson Jones was a respected figure in the Corinth School District. According to the district's official Facebook page.
Before we get into all the kudos for this guy, this freak, okay, allegedly a freak. Well, no, he's a freak. Think about the stories that we've covered and think about the stories you've heard over the years, right? We've heard Catholic priests, scout leaders, after-school program counselors, camp counselors, pastors, teachers, even a police chief, a couple of police deputies. There was a corrections officer. Think about it. These are all people that get themselves into respected positions where no one will suspect them to do anything. And that's how they get away with it for so long. Just think about that. And when you hear about all the kudos that this teacher got, no one in the world would be thinking that this person would ever do anything like this because he is such a great teacher. But you got to look behind the curtain. Peel back the veil.
Which has since deleted or privated their post. Jones was a cyber foundations and computer science and engineering teacher at Corinth Middle School, and it seems like he was known for his work in preparing students for careers in cybersecurity. And on his private Facebook page, he's featured in numerous photos with a young child, and he also has photos of himself with teacher banners on them that read, "Teachers change lives, proud to be a teacher." There's one post that still remained on the district's page that apparently features Wilson with other teachers who are all named in a faculty spotlight post recognizing them for their contributions to the school's fourth graders. And in June, he was selected to attend Mississippi State University's Gen Cyber Training Instructors to Prepare Security-Aware Students program. This is an immersive training held at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. The program aimed to equip educators with the skills to teach cybersecurity, a field of growing national importance. And Jones's classroom was even spotlighted on the school district's Facebook page, where he was praised for teaching students app creation using Code.org's App Lab.
All right, is he really just holding like stuffed animals right now? I'm just saying, like, you're a grown man and you're just posing for photos with stuffed animals. All right, yeah, that's creepy. Today's stream.
That post read, students brainstormed in groups to come up with ideas for their own apps, showcasing Jones' innovative teaching methods. And by all accounts, he was a rising star in the district until everything came crashing down. Now, Mike, you listen to this. You hear about his apparent respected reputation as a teacher, as an innovative teacher. How do you balance that? How do you reconcile that with now that public image and now the allegations that he's facing? I mean, this is a conversation I have with about so many teachers who are accused of wrongdoing.
You know, I think back to being taught a really simple principle that I think changed my way of thinking in a lot of these kinds of circumstances. Number one, think about incredibly talented coaches that end up getting in positions where they're doing things that are improper and end up being charged with crimes. Or think about people who, like a teacher who has a pedophilia challenge, going in and working in a schoolyard where he has that target that he actually pursues, and it's there and readily available.
All right, hold on a second. Did he just say a pedophilia challenge? I mean, does that sound kind of sanitized? How about a pedophilia sickness? Pedophilia demon? You know, it just, that bothered me right there. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Let me know. Let me know if that was just me or not. I mean, my gosh, man, I'll tell you what. And listen, this is pre-recorded, so I'm not in a live chat right now, but I will still go back and I can see what everybody had to say. But let me know, does that strike you wrong that he said that, like a teacher that has a pedophilia challenge? I mean, am I looking too into it, or does that sound like it's kind of a sanitized way of saying it?
The comment that I was taught very young was that it's dangerous when our strengths become our weaknesses. And he was able to exploit what was truly a strength, it seems like. And perhaps with just one misaligned piece of judgment, got himself into trouble. Or it could have been that this was repetitive predatory behavior done in the cloak of darkness that took this long to uncover.
And I think that background in cybersecurity would hurt his case, right? This is somebody who is around this kind of material, somebody or around these kinds of programs would know how to do this. I think that it's, again, as chilling as it is to hear what he was teaching and what his specialization was, I think it also could hurt him from an investigative point of view and a prosecutorial point of view.
Exactly. In fact, it's putting the fox in the hen house and using their wisdom to get them there. That, again, that idea that strengths become our weaknesses, or that where much is given, there should be much more expected. I don't think it's going to help him that he has this kind of experience and expertise, especially in the area of cybersecurity, because he actually took advantage of that same
It
kind of
shows that he knows what he's doing.
What would you advise parents, kids, students, what would you advise them on how to protect themselves? Don't post on social media?
I don't think we're ever going to be able to stop any of us from posting on social media. And so in combination with what the government needs to do in the area of putting legislation in place, I think parents just have to be even more vigilant than ever before in discussing the pitfalls with the cyber world that we live in now. The parents need to, whether their kids like it or not, think about whether they're going to put restrictions on those mobile devices that limit what they can do. And whether the kids like it or not, that parents have a lack of democracy in the home, and they actually check the device to see if there's somebody that looks predatory on there or that they don't recognize, and calling that to the attention of people. And they got to engage with law enforcement and the school system, because those are the people in the trenches that can really help.
So Jones awaits his detention hearing on Friday, where prosecutors are expected to present the evidence gathered during the investigation, including the AI-generated videos, any additional material that was found on Jones' devices, which we don't know what that could be. And his defense team will likely argue that the videos were not intended to be pornographic, that they weren't morphed images, as he claimed during the school district's initial investigation.
He said they were.
At least that's what's been reported. But I will say, given the explicit nature of the content and the ages of the victims, maybe pretty much of a tough defense, to say the least. Now, the case of Wilson Jones, it is a chilling reminder of the dark side of technology, because you have this once celebrated educator now stands accused of exploiting the very students that he was trusted to teach. And as the legal process unfolds, the Corinth community, they are now left to grapple with this fallout, to ensure that such a breach of trust never happens again. And Corinth Chief of Police Landon Tucker is urging anybody with additional information about Mr. Jones' alleged misconduct to come forward. And if you have any information, you can call the Corinth Police Department number that you see on your screen right there. Mike King, thanks so much. Great seeing you. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Great to be with you, Jesse. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining.
Man. What can we do? You know, I think a good step is certainly limiting what you're putting out there. Maybe limiting full body photos. That's a good idea. You know, maybe not, posting full body photos of your kids. I mean, that would take care of that part of it, right? I'm at a loss for words with this. This is crazy. The fact that there's already apps and software that can create CP images from regular, normal photos of kids is downright scary. But we are in the new world now. And this is when parents need to be more alert, more aware. checking their kids' devices, checking their game systems, listening to who they're talking to, knowing where their friends live, where they're going, asking them about what they do when they're with their friends. You got to be engaged. We made a post a couple days ago, or it was actually yesterday, I think, and it said, it was on our social medias. It said, do you want to know the quickest way to make sure your kids are a victim of SA? And I had a picture of a guy with his head in the sand. That's how it happens. Parents that have their heads in the sand and they don't think this is going to be an issue, they don't think it's going to be a problem, it's their kids that become the victims because their guard is not up and the kids are not educated and the parents aren't aware. Our mission is to spread education and awareness to the epidemic of child predators that faces our kids online and in the community every single day, 24/7. But we still encounter cases after case after case where inappropriate relationships, illegal relationships went on for months and months and months and sometimes years, and the parents never knew. There's no excuse for that. There just isn't. And now they're taking your kids' photos and turning them into CP using AI. Time to wake up. Realize what's going on out there. I'll tell you what. It's a scary world. But together, we'll make a difference. We'll make an impact, and we'll protect tons of kids. We ask that you would help us out by going to our website, protectyourchildren.org. We've been talking about this the past few weeks. Hope you're not getting tired of hearing about it, but it's a real issue. We've already cut 2 programs. We've already had to stop looking for Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt because of lack of funds. We now have 2 people that donate every month, just 2. We're thankful for the little bit that we get, but it's not enough to promote and to get this education and awareness out there to lots of people, thousands and thousands of kids and parents. We would like to continue to help bring Zach home. There's a lot of things that we would like to do to make an impact, but we're all volunteers here. Everybody has a job. We pay our own bills. We can't fund this whole thing ourselves for very much longer. So we're asking for you to help out. We're looking for 100 people to donate $5 a month. That's it, $5 a month. Now we have over 11,000 followers in combination with our social media, YouTube, everything, right? 11,000. We believe that there's 100 people out there that can afford $5 a month on a recurring basis. That gives us $500 a month, which is enough to cover our expenses and to promote advertising and get this information out to tens of thousands. So if you can donate $5 a month, you can visit our website, protectyourchildren.org, click on donate. You'll see that it's through PayPal. We do that on purpose so that we do not see your credit card information. We don't have any contact with that at all. And you do not need a PayPal account to donate. You do not. We get that question from people. And then we tell them they don't need a PayPal account, and then they don't donate. So who knows? But you don't need a PayPal account. So if you can help us out, we'd appreciate that. All right. This has been Saturday Night Protection semi-live, pre-recorded. But we're glad that you were here. I already have an idea of how many people are going to be there because we have faithful, passionate protectors that are there every show. We hope that some more came out, but I guess we'll find out after the fact. So thanks for sticking with us for this past hour. Very important information. Please share this content. Like, tweet, retweet, X, re-X, whatever you call it now. You know, get the information out there because parents need to hear it and kids need to be aware that this can happen to them. So please like and share and do all that good stuff. Subscribe. You know, like 90% of people that look at our YouTube videos are not subscribed. I mean, I know this is a common issue with a lot of YouTube channels, but yeah, we're like, it's crazy. Like if you're going to look at the video and if you are appreciative of what you see, click subscribe. I mean, it does make a difference in the algorithm. And if we get to that golden 1,000, then we can start getting some ads and we start getting some ad revenue and that'll help support us. But it's a click of a button. Subscribe. Please subscribe. and follow and X or re-X and all those good things. So please help us out by following our social media. All those links can be found on our website, protectyourchildren.org, right there on the homepage. All right, thank you for being here. This has been Saturday Night Protection Semi-Live with your host, Christopher Gelson, the director and lead teacher of Protect Your Children Incorporated. Until next time, stay nosy and keep protecting. Thank you.